I spent 24 hours straight playing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and here's how it went. Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, I made it all the way from a brand new account to Master 5 in 24 hours. Now, I did get a whole bunch of other things as well, and we did accomplish a few things, but that was the main goal. The main goal was to get all the way to Master Tier and see how far I could climb. I only made it to Master 5. I could have potentially gone a little further, like maybe up to Master 4. I did technically end with about an hour left in terms of my stream. I still had about 2 hours on the timer, but my stream would have gone too long, and logistics, basically. So in 22 hours, making it to Master 5 was pretty nice. However, half of that time, actually, in fact, more than half of that time, about 12 hours of just dueling was spent in Diamond. From Diamond 5 to Master 5 took me about 12 hours, a little bit more. And the reason for that is because a lot of it was me going up and down, and up and down, and up and down. So let me actually show you the match history here. Yeah, lots, you know, D rank here, and then we go back and we rank up, and then we rank up, and then, yeah, there's lots of ups and downs, as you can see. But, all in all, pretty decent for 24 hours. This was also 24 hours straight, and I did stream for about that long. You can actually check out the VODs on the VOD playlist down, which I will try and link down below. But yeah, I'm going to go through some statistics real quick, because statistics are fun. No, not really. But I'm going to go through how many games we played. We're going to go through the data and just kind of look out how long I played for. We obtained 2,000 cards, right? I technically logged in 3 separate days. One of those, I didn't actually play any of the game. All I did was load the game, was like download it and like complete the downloading. I did the tutorial technically, and then I downloaded the game the one day that I played, and then today as well. Well, I guess technically it's the same. Yeah, anyway, you get the point. The 3 days, the 24 hours, and then another day, which is today. We have the 191 packs opened, which is actually pretty good, considering that we did all the pack opening and deck building and all of that stuff on stream as well. Bunch of cards dismantled, bunch of cards generate. Nice, by the way. 60 card crafts, which is very funny, which I did not plan. That just happened. We dueled 182 times. However, 166 of those were in actual ranked or the standard duels. That's events and ranked. And I won 113 of them. So 53 were losses. So I win 113 and 53. I'll throw up a statistic up there, or a visual. But yeah, that's pretty good. You can also see the win rate as well. So all in all, a pretty good win rate. We also had a win streak of 30, and that was literally from rookie rank all the way to, I believe, plat. I don't think we dropped a game until we got to platinum. I could be wrong. Or it was around gold 1, I think, where we dropped our first game. So pretty good win rate. And I'll show you the deck with which we did that. Yeah, we also did solo mode 16 times just to get some gems and stuff like that. We have accumulated battle damage. We have effect damage inflicted, which is, I don't really know where I got all of this effect damage from. From something, you know. Spell and trap, yada yada, normal summons, link summons, lots of link summoning. We did also a lot of XZ summoning, and I'll show you why in a second. I'll go through the decks that I used. Lots of special summoning. Highest attack point was 85k. Highest defense points was 72, which is wild. I'm trying to think of what I did to get that. It's kind of interesting. 50 trap cards activated, 131 spell cards activated, and we only declared attacks on monsters 22 times, which is very funny. But the funniest stat is I only had a game last at most 6 turns, which is very, very funny. And the main reason for that is because of the fact that basically if it were to go on longer, I surrendered, right? Trying to get through quickly and that was where the surrender came in. So let's go through the 2 decks that I built. I built one deck, and then basically one deck for the lower ranks and one deck for the higher ranks, kind of. And the first deck that we did go 30-0 on was Lisk Triad. Here's the thing, this deck is incredibly simple to build, and it doesn't require a lot of staples. The problem with a lot of staple cards is the fact that they require you to have a lot of URs and SRs, which is not necessarily something that's easy to do in a timely fashion, right, in 24 hours. So what I ended up doing is, originally I didn't have these. I had things like Lightning Storm and Monster Reborn and stuff like that, things that you get inherently from like random pack openings, as well as the tutorials and stuff like that. So because of that, I ended up with a bit more in terms of the or I ended with more staples than when I originally started, because I could add more, you know, adding in the 3rd Ash Blossom, adding in, we just randomly pulled a red reboot. I didn't craft this. This was just a random pull. But yeah, lots of stuff like that. So it's also very easy to pull for these, because it's like, cool, I need 2 Shureg, which is from the same pack as all of the other stuff, right, along with the Ferrigine and the Bearbrum. And I need 2 Recital Starling and an Ensemble Blue from the pack that I would get all of these other things. And then a bunch of the other stuff you can add in, like throughout, we added in a double Dragon Lord, we added in an Axis Code, we added in an Appaloosa, we added in a Zeus, but these weren't things that were all there from the start. I did have Utopic from the start because I needed to, but the thing is, honestly, I got a lot of the crafting material almost right off the bat, which made it very simple to craft this deck pretty quickly. Of course, we started with triple maxi as well, so there's that. But yeah, honestly, pretty good deck. Again, we went 30-0 in the lower ranks, which is pretty good. Moving on. Next up, we have Mathmech, which is what I started to build towards the end, and what we played mostly in Diamond and other such ranks. I think we played it in Plat 1 and then into Diamond. And this was the list that I eventually ended on. This wasn't the only list. I'm going to show you the other list in a second. But yeah, this was the list that I ended on and what ended up getting me to Master. And the reason I ended on this list in particular was because of the fact that it was easier, it was simple, and it allowed me to basically play, while I was very tired, a very simple, basic game that ended up winning me a lot more by adding things like Followup and the like, and then just also having a simpler, faster combo, right? If you don't know how this is supposed to work, unlike regular Mathmech, what you do, or what Mathmech does now, I should say, what you used to do is this combo where you go Cyber Swick Kid, you'd end on either a Ling Garibo and an IP Masquerena, or just the IP Masquerena, but you'd go Link Disciple into Devotee with any 2 monsters. The Devotee would be tributed off for 2 additional materials. You'd go into the Cyber Swick Kid, and then the Cyber Swick Kid would then, and then if you had another monster onto your field, you'd go for the IP Masquerena using the last token and whatever else you had on your field. You go into that, Cyber Swick Kid would banish a card, and then search out Diameter for the follow-up. That was basically the play, and obviously this is pre-nerf Mathmech. It would probably change the way that I played. Actually, it would quite significantly. I don't think this version would be nearly as useful because searching out a Diameter, I basically wanted 2, and I would go through 2 during the combo. I'd have one in my hand as follow-up, and then I'd also have one that I ended up searching off of the Allen version. But yeah, it's a pretty simple list. I'm also playing Baguska to play around Maxi, which I did make a few times, but not too often. But yeah, you'd basically do that combo going first, and then you'd go into like a unicorn or something like that in order to interact with your opponent. And then you'd just be hand traps and super factorial. And then on the follow-up, you have like Access Code Talker, Transcode stuff with Splash Mage still available and all of that jazz. So pretty self-explanatory with that one. And then let me show you the list that I played as well. Alright, and here's the list that I actually played most of the time when it came to Mathmech. I eventually switched off of this because it was a lot more difficult, I found, to actually just win games. I didn't really have much follow-up, which is not as useful, I found, in a more chaotic environment, or in an environment like a ranked ladder, and I'll explain that in a second. when I go over all of the things that I learned. But yeah, we're playing Microcoder with the Signet Conflict. I originally wasn't playing the Dotscaper because I wanted the Microcoder. I needed a small world bridge, which is why the Dotscaper was in there previously. But now we're playing the Microcoder as our small world bridge, as well as Signet Conflict, because this was before I got the second red reboot. So we were playing the Conflict instead, as well as a way to like search it with the Microcoder. The rest of the main deck is pretty much the same, except for I'm adding in the Firewall Defensor, as well as I took out the Lightning Storm. Again, just kind of like small optimizations. Obviously, like, this isn't like an optimal list. It could definitely be a lot better. I would have preferred more hand traps, or more like board breakers, like one or the other. But as you can see, like, we're running Droplet and Nibiru, as well as Red Reboot, and then a whole bunch of like hand traps and kind of weird stuff like that. So it feels kind of off, but it's honestly fine. But the extra decks where things change a bunch. We're playing the Firewalls, Singularity, Dark Fluid, as well as the Aggregator and D-Save Worm to send off with the Dark Fluid. And then, of course, we're playing a Link Decoder as well, and then G-Golem, just to get the most amount of the materials as we can, basically, so that we can more easily make these high Link monsters. I didn't really prefer this because, honestly, it didn't really provide a whole lot of advantage, I found. Also, it was just a lot more difficult. I wasn't as familiar with this version of Mathmech as I was with the other version. And so because of that, like, I didn't really have the experience. So I decided to switch over to that secondary version, and I did a lot better. And yeah, that was basically it. I did also play Tri-Brigade up in Diamond as well, which was still pretty good. But let's talk about what I learned overall in this experience, and the reason I switched from that list to the more conventional, simplified list, as well as what I ended up doing with this Tri-Brigade list, which is a bit different. As you can tell, we're not playing things like the Smorg and the Apex Avian. Again, that's mostly because it's two URs that I didn't really have the ability to craft. And so because of that, I ended up like switching some things out. And so we played Apollosa, and I played Revolt, and I really heavily focused on adding Followup. And I think this is more important in a ladder setting than it is in a tournament setting. This is one of the reasons why I think something like Kashtira isn't as good, because Kashtira oftentimes doesn't add that follow-up if there is a board wipe, right? For example, if they get Zeused, they oftentimes don't actually have that follow-up that they search, right? A lot of the follow-up is on board, right? It's the birth. It's having Fenrir or having a unicorn on your field already to kind of go from there, right? And it's not necessarily relying on those cards already searched in hand, or something like a Revolt to potentially get you a Nerval to get an additional search. So this is where I think, this is something that I personally learned, and I think is a lot more advantageous, at least in Diamond rank. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be better in higher or in lower ranks, but at the very least where I spent most of the time, which was in that Diamond rank, where things were quite chaotic, but still a lot more meta decks were being present, I noticed adding additional follow-up, such as adding a Revolt, which can make Shureg, which is Interruption, but more importantly, being able to grow Nerval in order to grab something like a Fractal to get that second Shureg. Again, another reason why we're playing two. I found it to be a lot more important. It's the same reason we're running the IP Masquerena and the Cyber's Wick Kid in Mathmech, so that instead I can grab that additional follow-up, right? So lots of stuff like that were just small optimizations that I learned after the 24 hours. But yeah, also Diamond is just insanely luck dependent. It felt like a lot of it was bad plays on my part. I will admit, like, by that point I was tired. I was not playing very well, especially with the Mathmech stuff. Really not too familiar with that deck. And this is also kind of a different version. No Simorg, no Apex Avian. So this is a very weird list for me for Tri-Brigade, and so because of that, that also caused some issues. But all in all, it was still a lot of, it felt like a lot of it was, cool, did I go first? No? Okay. Immediately my chances of winning that game dropped significantly. Cool, did I win the Maxi minigame even if I did go first? No? Okay, my, chances of winning that drop significantly. Stuff like that, where it is, where specifically in Diamond, it mattered a lot more, I think. than in the other ranks. But I'm pretty sure most of you already know that. But all in all, this is more or less what we accomplished. However, I do want to make note of the fact that we built both of these decks within the 24 hours, having spent, I believe, like an hour and a half or a little bit more, I think about 2 hours in solo mode, which is quite impressive, I will say. Yeah, so within the allotted time frame, I was able to, I still have a bunch of gems and some crafting material even after the fact, but yeah, I was able to make 2 pretty good decks. I wouldn't say that Tri Brigade is necessarily like the top tier meta, but I still think that it's pretty good, at the very least rogue tier, right? I'd even put it a little bit higher, but that's my bias. And then Mathmech is one of the best decks at the current moment, and we were able to build it basically entirely, right? And again, that's within the 24-hour time frame, on top of all of the dueling and stuff like that. And the reason I bring this up is because I want to point out, in Duel Links, I have my statistic here. In Duel Links, we did a similar grind, except it wasn't all in one day. We spread it out, because in Duel Links, specifically, it's better to spread out your time playing into multiple days, because you get more rewards that way, basically. And it took me, on a new account, 33.5 hours in total to actually obtain a meta deck. And by the time it actually took, by the time I actually got that meta deck, it was basically no longer meta. Not really, at the very least, right? I ended up building Trickstar, and the fact of the matter is, having to pull all of the cards individually meant that it took me a lot of time to actually build the deck. And on top of that, because I had to pull for each individual card, it meant I had to reset boxes and stuff like that, which meant I couldn't really just get lucky and end up pulling the cards that I needed to. Like when I did, for example, when I pulled for Mathmech, I got 2 circular right off of the bat, along with, I believe, another one of the URs I got in Alimbersion as well. So I got, in 10 pack, or in like 20 packs or something like that, I got 2 circular and an Alimbersion immediately, which made it a lot simpler to build the rest of the deck, right? This can be obtained very easily from the structure deck, along with this guy. I randomly pulled this one, right? This stuff can all be crafted. This I actually ended up, I believe, pulling from a pack. But like a lot of the other stuff could be crafted, right? Which helped quite a bit. So lots of stuff like that were very useful. We made the 2 meta decks, and then we still could potentially build more. We have lots of staples, as you saw there, right? We got all of the bonus, not bonuses, the additional packs, the things like the dropout bundle, that's what they are. We got Droplet, we got Lightning Storm, we got Judgment, who's there, you know, we got Imperm and Ash and stuff like that, Nibiru even. So lots of additional assistance, lots of staples to help build towards the next deck. And let me show you solo mode. We didn't really do much in solo mode, but we did do it. So yeah, here you go. Did a bit of it. We did a bit of dual training. We did the first dual training. We did the Monarch. We did a bit of the Elemental Lords, trying to get more gems and stuff like that. And then, oh, I also bought a Cosmetic, and that was the new dual field. As you can see here, the Glacial World. We ended up buying that one. I didn't get any protectors or anything like that with my gems, but we did still, even just by like playing the game, we still got Sangan, we got the Eldritch icon, we got the frame, this is the Platinum frame, as you can see. Yeah, we got some icons, not great icons. We got the Master frame as well. Haven't equipped that one because I just got it. I don't think any of these are new, except for maybe these 2 or something like that. Some mates, got the cross sheep mate, and the wallpaper. Oh, last thing. I bought the dual pass, the gold to dual pass, and within that day, maxed it out. So, lots of duels played, and yeah, we did it, which is kind of funny. And yeah, it absolutely paid for itself, right? And we got the cross sheep mate, which I actually ended up using. for a while. So there you go. That's all that I wanted to talk about. I'll probably do like a small highlights video highlighting the actual decks that I used and stuff like that. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, like us very much, I appreciate it. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh, then just be sure to subscribe. And thank you guys so much for watching. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.